Today on Light of the Word with Pastor Ray.
If we just read 38 and couldn't read the rest of the story, we go, what a mess. What a mess of a story. But instead, God is saying, you know what? What the devil intended for evil, I've turned into good. What the flesh can totally mess up, corrupt, I can take and do something mighty and great. And I can weave a story. I can tell a story about my unending, never-failing grace.
Open your heart to us, Lord, so we can know your word. We come before you, Jesus. Speak to our hearts as we discover your love for us. How wide, how deep, how far. Pour into us so we can learn to follow. One surrender at a time. You have made the way for us to know you, a path that's straight and bright. By the light of the word.
You ever look at the mistakes you have made or the chaos surrounding you and conclude that the entire story is a total mess? In today's message, Pastor Ray explains that God has a unique way of taking the things that were meant to cause you harm and turning them into something incredibly good. You could feel like your own failures have corrupted and damaged your future beyond repair, but there is a power that can take those broken pieces and build something mighty and great. Well, let's join Pastor Ray in the book of Genesis, chapter 38, for today's edition of Light of the Word.
Anytime Satan wants to take you down, take you into a place, I want it all. I want it all. I want to destroy. John 10:10, I've come to steal, kill, and destroy. I want it all. I want to destroy your person of what you're known for and your position that you may have among the church or in the community, and I want to take your possessions and leave you bankrupt and all these type of things, and Satan leaves nothing. And it's a beautiful comparison as we'll keep reading through this. The diamond of Joseph, he can withstand the moment. And I think this Potiphar story that's coming, it wasn't a one-day thing. It was day after day after day after day. And this young man, single, could withstand her day after day after day after day. And here comes Judah. He can't even stand a day. And down he goes. And we're seeing a young man able to stand. And we see a man who's mature falling and bringing this shame. This will be his legacy forever. And verse 19 and 20, he brings the others to watch the horrible witness. So she arose and went away and laid aside her veil and put on her garments of her widowhood. She's back to being the widow again. And Judah sent the young goat by the hand of his friend, the Adullamite, this is Hira, to receive his pledge from the woman's hand, but he did not find her. So here he is. Hey, Hira, I need you to do me a favor. It's a little embarrassing what I did, but you're my friend. Hey, would you go and pay this debt for me and get my stuff back, and just keep it under, keep it kind of low key and these type of things. Of course, he's like, sure. That's what we do around here. We lie, we cheat, we steal, we do whatever it takes because that's what we are. And here he is. Judah could have been from the beginning given this witness of there's a God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And he has a promise upon my family, and he's going to do this great work. Hira, you could be part of this by coming and following after the God that has blessed us and never failed us. Instead, here he goes, hey, I need you to do me a favor to cover my sin, to cover my failing. What a horrible witness. And here he is, a man who was perishing, and this is the witness that he gives them. And of course, that's a word for all of us of what is the witness, not just for my family, but the witness of the world for my actions. Verse 21 through 23, Then he asked the men of that place, saying, "Where is the harlot who was openly by the roadside?" And they said, "There was no harlot in this place." So he returned to Judah and said, "I cannot find her." Also, the men of the place said, "There was no harlot. There's no regular harlot in this place." Then Judah said, "Let her take them for herself, lest we be ashamed, for I sent the young goat, and you have not found her." So here it is. His life, his legacy has been established. The time to change that was before. Now this is his legacy that we read of him in verse 24. And it came to pass about 3 months after that, Judah was told, saying, "Tamar, your daughter-in-law, has a baby bump, has played the harlot. Furthermore, she is with child by harlotry." So Judah said, "Bring her out and let her be burned." Isn't it amazing how sin looks in somebody else? Our very sin in somebody else. Burn them. That was, even in the Canaanite culture, there was immorality. There was the temple high places and that immorality, but between husband and wife, it was frowned upon. And we read that even down into Egypt as, hey, if you don't say you're my sister, they're going to kill me because, you're my sister, and if you're my wife, they'll kill me. And so here we see this. One of the historical writings that I read was that they would take the harlot, those who were harlotry and adultery, and dig a pit, put them in the pit, and then cover them with some tar and light them and burn them. So here is Judah, light her up, burn her. I can't believe she did such a thing. And it's amazing how we can look and just go, that's her sin's the same sin as mine, but man, mine's justified. I have a reason for mine, and we can always justify ours. But when we look at it in someone else's, there is no justification there. Let's light them up. And so, verse 25 and 26, when she was brought out, she sent to her father-in-law saying, that means if you can picture the scene, the town has rallied. They're outside the father's tent or house, whatever it may be. Bring her out. We're going to burn her. And then she says, hey, before you do this, by the man whom these belong, the signet ring, the bracelet, the staff, I am with child. And she said, please determine who these are, the signet, the cord, and the staff. So Judah acknowledged them. Imagine how humiliating this is. The whole town's here now. They're all fired up to light the fire. They're going to bring some self-righteous judgment. And he has to step up in verse 26 and say, so Judah acknowledged to them, she has been more righteous than I, because I did not give her to Shelah, my son. And he never knew her again. Humbling. Verse 27 through 30. What an amazing story. Now it came to pass, verse 27, at the time for giving birth, that behold, twins were in her womb. And so it was that when she was giving birth, that the one put out his hand, and the midwife took scarlet thread and bound it on his hand, saying, this one came out first. Then it happened, verse 29, as he drew back his hand, that his brother came out unexpectedly and said, how did you break through this breach upon you? Therein his name was called Perez. Afterward his brother came out who had the scarlet thread on his hand, and his name was called Zerah. We would end this story and go, what a mess. Well, let me say this. As we look at these boys from Genesis 37, what a dysfunctional, messed up family. When we look at this chapter, what a messed up life this girl Tamar had to live. But would you know the promises of God that he's just never done, no matter what it looks like? He's just never done. And if we ended the story, we go, well, that was a mess. What a mess of a story. Okay, so she has these two sons, and now we move into Genesis 39. We start the story of Joseph. Not yet. Not yet. Ruth chapter 4 is going to end with this, verse 18 through 22. Now this is the genealogy of Perez. We just read it. Perez begot Hezron. Hezron begot Ram. Ram begot Amminadab. Amminadab begot Nahshon. Nahshon begot Salmon. Salmon begot Boaz. Boaz begot Obed. Obed begot Jesse. And Jesse begot David. Even in this mess, through Judah, through Tamar, will come King David. But God tells even a greater story. Matthew chapter 1. This is the book of genealogy of Jesus Christ, the son of David, the son of Abraham. Abraham begot Isaac, Isaac begot Jacob, Jacob begot Judah and his brothers. Judah begot Perez and Zerah by Tamar. Perez begot Hezron, Hezron begot Ram, Ram begot Amminadab, Amminadab begot Nahshon, Nahshon begot Salmon, Salmon begot Boaz by Rahab, Boaz begot Obed by Ruth, Obed begot Jesse, and Jesse begot David the king. David the king begot Solomon by her who had been the wife of Uriah. Verse 17, so all the generations from Abraham to David are 14 generations. From David until the captivity of Babylon, 14 generations. From captivity of Babylon until Christ are 14 generations. Matthew chapter 1, verse 18, now the birth of Jesus Christ was as followed. After his mother Mary was betrothed to Joseph, before they came together, she was found with child by the Holy Spirit. What a story. If we just read 38 and couldn't read the rest of the story, we go, what a mess. What a mess of a story. But instead, God is saying, you know what? What the devil intended for evil, I've turned into good. What the flesh can totally mess up, corrupt, I can take and do something mighty and great. And I can weave a story. I can tell a story about my unending, never failing grace. And how I can step in to even the most messed up works of man and turn it into the most amazing grace of God. This story ends with this Perez going to be the father of Boaz. And so we got this Matthew, we got this Genesis 38, and God tells a love story in the middle of it. It's about me and you. In Ruth chapter 1, as we're not going to read chapter by chapter, verse by verse, but in Ruth chapter 1, here's the story is there's a man, Elimelech. He marries a woman named Naomi. They have 2 children. They live in Bethlehem in the land. House of bread, but a famine comes. There's no bread in the land. There's no grain. They pick up, they leave, they go to Moab. And they end up in Moab because there's no bread in Bethlehem. These 2 boys marry these 2 Moabites. One of them's named Oprah, the other's named Ruth, hence the story of Ruth. These 2 sons die after their fathers die. So here's Naomi. My sons are dead, my husband's dead. He turns to these women, the Levirate law, I cannot birth children to you. That even if you wait and I had a baby tonight, you wouldn't wait that long for them to come and be your husbands and to take on this Levirate law that we just read. Go back to your land, Moab. Find husbands there. Go live life again, Oprah. You're right, I will. God bless thee. She didn't say that, but away she goes. And here's the story of Ruth. Ruth says to her, Ruth 1, 16 and 17. But Ruth said, entreat me not to leave you or to turn back from following after you. For wherever you go, I will go. Wherever you lodge, I will lodge. Your people shall be my people, and your God, my God. Where you die, I will die, and there will I be buried. The Lord do so to me, and more also, if anything but death parts you and me. Oh, it's like a marriage vow. Your God will be my God. And so then chapter 2 comes. They go back to Bethlehem because they hear that there's wheat and there's food. So they come back. They've sold everything. They've lost everything at this point. And it says that they happened upon a field. And it just happens to be Boaz, who just happens to be part of the kinsman, a relative to this family. And so they happen upon the field. And here's what we read. So Boaz comes to the field. And the law of gleaning in the law of Israel that was codified through the Mosaic and Levitical laws was that the landowners were to leave the edges of the field unpicked. so that the strangers, the poor, the impoverished could come and they could get food for themselves. But it's a beautiful picture of, but you had to go get it yourself. No one was just going to come and give it to you. You went and you got it yourself. So Ruth finds this field. She starts gleaning. Here comes the landowner. His name is Boaz. And he comes and he goes, who is that woman? Ruth chapter 2, verse 4 through 7. Now behold, Boaz came from Bethlehem and said to the reapers, the Lord be with you. You just kind of feel the man, just the strong man of the Lord. And they answered him, the Lord bless you. Then Boaz says to his servants who was in charge of the reapers, who's that young woman over there? So the servant who was in charge of the reapers answered and said, it is the young Moabite woman who came back with Naomi from the country of Moab. And she said, please let me glean and gather after the reapers among the sheaves. So she came and has continued from morning until now, though she rested a little in the house. And Boaz is saying, hey, drop some extra grain. Make sure she's taken care of. And you can just see this movement of take care of her. We've heard her story of what happened. And she came back as a stranger with Naomi. You know what's interesting about when they make movies, when they tell stories, it's always portrayed as Ruth is beautiful. She might have been. Sarah, Rachel, and Rebecca, and then Esther. But here's our story. Sarah, Rachel, Rebecca. All was clearly identified of their physical character of beauty. But not Ruth. Maybe she was. Makes a good Hollywood story. But there's something, I believe the reason that it's not talking about her physical looks is because then that becomes the story. Instead, what the story is, Boaz comes and he sees this woman who's impoverished, broken, lonely, hurting, suffering loss, an alien, a stranger in a land that's not hers. And something moves in Boaz. And as I will say, love begins to move. And Boaz is drawn to Ruth, even though, as we'll read the story, he doesn't think when he does end up marrying her, he had no idea that she would choose him because of whatever the reason would be. But love begins to move in this Boaz. And the beauty of the story that God is showing us here is 2,000 years ago, love began to move. And he walked this earth. His name was Jesus Christ. And his story is about finding the aliens, the strangers, the cast off, the ones who are unloved, the ones who are hurting, the ones who are heartbroken, the ones who are in poverty and bankruptcy and have no land of their own. And love began to move, and love walked on this earth, and his name was Jesus. And as we read this amazing story that we see here is we have a greater than Boaz. Our greater than Boaz is Jesus Christ. And he walks and he's looking and he's still walking and moving today, and he's walking and moving in this sanctuary right now. He's looking for anyone. I see your hurt. I see your pain. I see your separation, but I am love in motion. And I come and I draw. And he tells us this story, and he wants to tell us a story from Tamar and Judah through the birth of Christ, through David. And he gives us this intersection here in the book of Ruth about the story who came out of this crazy story of Genesis 38, of who God is and his grace and his love and his mercy. And then verse 30, Ruth 3, the summation of that is 5 through 9, and Naomi speaking, and she said, all that you say to me, I will do. So this is the counsel that Naomi gave her, because we'll see the last verse here, that Boaz is a redeemer, a close relative. So she went down to the threshing floor. So they bring it in the harvest. They throw the wheat from the chaff blows away, a big pile of wheat, and then the landowners sleep at the foot of it, so bank robbers and thieves and those type of things, because this is the big harvest. He's sleeping there, and it says in verse 7, and after Boaz had eaten and drank, and his heart was cheerful, he went and lay down at the end of the heap of grain, and she came softly, uncovered his feet, that would be his robe over, and the garment, and lay down. There's no nothing that she's doing that is improper. Now it happened at midnight that the man was startled and turned himself, and there a woman was lying at his feet. And he said, "Who are you?" She said, "I am Ruth, your maidservant. Take your maidservant under your wing, for you are a close relative." Kinsman redeemer, a goel, is what we read of when we read through the Mosaic and Levitical law. You are my near kin, and what we just read in Genesis 38, you can redeem me, and you can fulfill the loss of my husband and the loss of Naomi's husband. And so this is what she's saying to him. He gives 6 heapings and doesn't touch her and says, "Hey, okay, go home. I hear what you're saying." Gives her these 6 big heapings, go home, and I'm going to take care of it. And the 6 heapings, Naomi knows what it means, because when she walks in with the big 6 heapings, Naomi knows he's sending the message, I will not rest until I see this through. But he tells her, Ruth, there is a near kin. It has to go in order. And if he won't do it, I'll do it. But if he does it, then it's the law he does. And so then we have Ruth 4, verse 11 through 12. As it ends, we're going to see this marriage happens. Boaz comes down to the gate, and all the people who were at the gate, the elders, said were witnesses. And Boaz goes down to the gate. He's waiting for the nearer kin to come. He goes, "Hey, brother, come on over. I need to talk. Listen, the field that Naomi, Elimelech, owns is up for redemption. If you don't want it, I'll buy it." And then he goes, "I'll do it." He goes, "Oh, and one other thing. You also have to take the widow Ruth with it." And he goes, "Oh, no. No thanks. I don't want all that. You buy it." And Boaz says, "I'll do it." And here's our picture of our greater than Boaz, our Jesus, Matthew 13. For the treasure that was in the field, bought the whole field. And here's this picture of Boaz. I'll buy the whole field. I don't care how much it costs to get this treasure, to get this bride. And as the story weaves itself, and all the people who were at the gate, and the elder said, "We are witnesses. The Lord make the woman who is coming to your house like Rachel and Leah, the 2 who built the house of Israel, and may you prosper in Ephraim and be famous in Bethlehem. May your house," look at, there's no shame. There's no like, hey, let's pretend this never happened, Genesis 38. "May your house be like the house of Perez, who Tamar bore to Judah, because the offspring which the Lord will give from this young woman." Why like Perez? Because Book of Ruth, verse 18, as it closes, "Now this is the genealogy of Perez. Perez begot Hezron. Hezron begot Ram. Ram begot Amminadab. Amminadab begot Nahshon. Nahshon begot Salmon. Salmon begot Boaz. Boaz begot Obed. Obed begot Jesse. And Jesse begot David." The king will come through Matthew 1. The book of the genealogies of Jesus Christ, the son of David, the son of Abraham. Abraham begot Isaac. Isaac begot Jacob. Jacob begot Judah and his brother. God's not ashamed to say this, and he's not ashamed to say you're in his heritage too. Judah begot Perez and Zerah by Tamar. Perez begot Hezron. Hezron begot Ram. Ram begot Amminadab. Amminadab begot Nahshon. Nahshon begot Salmon. Salmon begot Boaz by Rahab. Boaz begot Obed by Ruth. Obed begot Jesse, and Jesse begot David the king. David the king begot Solomon by her who had been with Uriah. Verse 17, so all the generations. Verse 18, now the birth of Jesus Christ was as followed.
You have made the way for us to know you, a path that's straight and right. By the light of the world.
You've been listening to Light of the Word. One of my favorite characters in the Bible is Joseph. What a man of upstanding character and perseverance. He endured many false accusations and was tested in multiple ways, but he passed with flying colors. We're not just talking about his coat of many colors. Although he received this from his father, Joseph's strength of character was far richer in color than any piece of clothing. Joseph was hated by his brothers. betrayed, and brought low, as he was sold as a slave. But throughout his life, he kept being brought low, only to be raised up into a position of authority or leadership. Have you ever considered that this might be a refining process that God has in mind for you too? Ultimately, it was through this roller coaster of situations that God used Joseph to help rescue his entire family from famine and death. Next time you're in a valley, questioning what God is doing, look to the story of Joseph, reminding yourself that God has an interesting way of lifting people up who seek to honor Him in their lives. To find out more encouraging content from the book of Genesis, you'll find it at lightoftheword.info. We come to you from Calvary Chapel of Anne Arundel County in Glen Burnie, Maryland. Join us next time for Light of the Word, illuminating the heart of God.
You have made